Hello and welcome to my 100% playthrough of Eternal Doom. This is map 1, Genesis. I'm back, and with new series. Now that doesn't really mean that I'm abandoning D-Zone, it's just that I want to have at least one more series running at the same time, because D-Zone is, for all the interesting maps, they're still a little bit boring, so I decided to play Eternal Doom at the same time. So this is a megawatt from 96. It had 3 releases, and the first one was in 96. But yeah, let's just start killing stuff. I'll try to introduce it as we clear the corridors here, because this is actually a very interesting megawatt. It's very famous for having these giant sprawling levels. A lot of them non-linear, but at the same time, not everyone remembers it fondly because of its slightly unorthodox level progression. I like to compare this one to sort of like a 90s adventure game in the form of a Doom WOD, because it tends to be very cryptic, but for most of the time you do get hints for the cryptic progression. Most of the time. That's actually something that this level introduces pretty well. It's very simple. And that's kind of the one thing that I don't like about this level as an introduction. It's not a bad level, it's just not the best map 1. Because I think map 1 should really introduce the player to what the rest of the megawatt is going to be like, and that's not really the case of this map. Progression is very simple for the most part, with the exception of one very minor detail. But it was designed by Alex Mayberry, and all of these designers that worked on this megawatt had a very distinct style. The style of Alex Mayberry is, well, linear corridor shooters. It's not bad, it's a breather from all those giant levels made by other people, but doesn't really make for the best map 1. But there's something I missed in the starting room. You can notice that the pinky in here is not really in any other of these closets, so maybe he hides something, and yep, it's super gun, and it's also a 20% damaging floor, as you saw. Yeah, this is how you get the yellow super gun. It's not a secret, but it's just there. But let's go into the reactor room, and I mentioned that there's one thing that this level introduces pretty well, and that's the BS part of the well, 90s adventure game likeness of this megawatt. We need to get into the reactor rooms here, but the issue is they're 20% damaging floors, so 5 ticks and we're dead. So the way to deal with that is we just press a random wall and get a non-secret rat suit. It's a little bit annoying, but it's just something you have to deal with when you're playing Eternal Doom. Like I said, most of the weird progression you get hints for, and I actually really like that about it. I like figuring stuff out, like figuring out strange progression, but this is when it throws stuff like this, it gets a little annoying. But yeah, we have the blue key, so we can go into this area. And I said that this level is very linear, and I still stand by that. It may not look like it, because we have a lot of paths to take from the central area, but it's one of those fake non-linear things where you can take any path you want, but in order to progress, you still need to take them on in a very specific order. So here's the, I guess, cargo hold, because we're on a ship. I didn't really explain the story of this megawatt, but it's very simple, but it's there. It's that the scientists that opened the portal to hell on Mars did it again, but this time it's not a portal in space, it's a time machine. But once again, demons appeared and they took advantage of that, so now we have to save humanity again from a demonic invasion, but this time they're invading medieval era, which is a very interesting premise. It makes for some cool architecture in some of the later levels. It has these medieval castles later on. They don't really look like castles because it's still a Doom mod from the 90s, but it's very cool architecture. And here's the blue door. That's why we have to go into the reactor room first. Because, you know, you can go down into this area, but you're just going to waste time. Because you would have to backtrack anyway. That's the sort of the fake non-linearity I was talking about. Now I'm wasting ammo, but hopefully we can afford that. Most of these levels aren't really short on ammo, but by the way, if you've played Valiant or Ancient Aliens, this texture might be familiar. Skillsoul likes to use it as a shootable switch, but it originated from here, and here it's just a regular switch. I want to kill this guy. If he lets me down, he does, eventually. Yeah, that switch lowered this little lift. I can go up here and waste more shells. You know, if I can afford it, I'm not going to switch to a regular shotgun. Because I'm stubborn. Yeah, we pressed that switch in the other room and that revealed the red key right here. So we can backtrack again and go into the holding cells. And I hope I have all the kills, because some of the enemies like to hide among the crates. So if I'm missing any kills by the end, it's probably in there. Just hope it doesn't have to come to that. This guy, I very often forget about this guy. He just snipes me from behind the corner. But actually, this is another thing that this level introduces that's pretty important, and that's if you see a crack in the wall like this, you can shoot it. This time it's to get a secret, but later on it's just going to become a regular progression. So it's good to keep an eye out on weird textures like this. Now we can open all these cells one by one, and I'm not going to grab the Sphere of Cowardice because really we don't need it for this area. It's just a bunch of Cacodemons one by one. And a couple Pain Elementals, but we can just bully them like this. Yeah, each of these holding cells has a goodie that opens up, but we'll grab them later, once we kill all the enemies. One of them has a key, and I don't really remember which one it is exactly. This I don't want to grab, and here's the key. So this yellow key opens the exit. We can grab this as well, even though we don't really need it. How many kills do we have left? 2, that's good. So I didn't miss any of the kills in the box crate area. Okay, here's the yellow door. Here's the switch that disables the force fields. The force fields are a really interesting mapping trick, and that's one more thing that this Megawatt is chock full of. Really unorthodox mapping tricks. I'll try to point them out when we encounter them, but if I can even notice them. But yeah, this is the exit. This leads us to the surface from this spaceship, or whatever it is. So let's just take it. And that was MAP01 Genesis. Like I said, I don't think it's a very good introduction level, but it's not a bad level. Especially for 96. A lot of these levels are a little bit dated, but for 96 they are excellent. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one.